I'm Dr. Kanwal Khalid. Sometimes ago, there was a lot of talk about Heeramandi, and especially the Heeramandi of Lahore. And there were many talks given about it, and different perspectives produced, but mostly they were to glamorize the concept of Hiramandi, and very few were focusing on the historical facts. In those days, I was working with a private channel, a news channel basically, so I could not talk about that on that particular channel. But now that I have the liberty of my own YouTube channel, so I thought, why not talk about Heeramandi, and let's discuss little bit of the background, the historical background of this particular location in the city of Lahore, and what were the connotations associated to it. I will not be using many pictures. The reason being that the pictures available both online and on different books, they are not entirely, kind of truthful to the concept of the wife that we have in the subcontinent. And most of them are the cuspies, and these were the gypsy kind of women who were there just to do the prostitutions, but they were not the photographs of traditional tawaifs of the subcontinent. So, uh, unfortunately, many believe till date that these tawaifs were inhabited by the Mughals in the current location of Heeramandi in the city of Lahore, which is near Taksali Darwaza. This is not correct, because if you look at it from geographical perspective, the location is literally adjacent to Lahore Fort. Now, can you imagine of having a brothel near the home or the office of the head of the state? No, that's not possible. The fort had been a center of political and administrative activities since the times of Hindu Shahya period, then the Ghaznavids and the Ghaudids and Sultanate period, and of course during the Mughal period. This was a location which was basically meant for the a family of the royal kings and the ministers who were serving the king of that time. That is why the name has been used as Shahi Muhalla. Shahi Muhalla, the residential area of the royalty. Actually, this is what it means. On the other hand, most of the houses or the grand havelis that were constructed there, they belonged to the ministers and the courtiers, and they were very much in the vicinity of the fort, where they had to commute many times a day sometimes, and sometimes late at night. So it was very easy for them to go and attend the meetings and do this kind of thing. Although this particular location was not meant for the Tawaips, but the concept of the dancing girls who were excellent singers had been persistent in the history of the subcontinent since thousands of years. And they were there in almost every important ceremonies. Let it be some religious Hindu religious ceremony, or it was on the marriages, or on the events of Nowruz or even Eids. So we come across frequent references in the memoirs written, on the histories written, where they were invited to perform in front of the audience. So they were there. Interestingly, if you look at their setup at the birth, these women were categorized, and basically there were three categories. Number one, and these categories were decided on the time of their birth. Number one were the girls who were prepared to become the wives of the elite and the rich. Number two were the singers and the dancers, and number three were the girls selected for just for the prostitution. So they were the categories, and then they were trained and raised according to their designated positions that were decided by the elder woman of those clans or of those families. Um, some of these women, they were married to very, in the elite class, and we come, and even the kings. We have a very authentic reference of Akbar, who had two concubine wives. One was Khaira Begum, and the other one was Daulat Shah Begum. And by the way, he had two princes, Prince Daniel and Prince Murad, from these two wives. So they were living with him. And apart from being exceptional dancers and singers, these were the women who were extremely well mannered, educated, and very well versed. And they eventually became the counselors of the kings, or their partners that they had, and lots of politics were discussed with them and shared with them. Shahi Muhalla, which was basically a residence for the royalty, it was marred during the invasions of the Afghans and Sikh bandits when they were coming to this region. That was the time that the Havelis of these Shahi Mohallas were looted, and the kidnapped women from different regions of the subcontinent. They were placed in those Havelis. Most of the time, the kidnapping of the women was from Kashmir, because as we all know, the Kashmiri women were extremely beautiful. So that is why they were a very favorite commodity for these men to have them placed in these locations. Now, the question is that why the name Heeramandi? During the Sikh period, Maharaja Ranjit Singh had a very trusted general by the name of Dhyan Singh Dogra, and he had a son whose name was Hira Singh Dogra. Now, Hira Singh was the boy favorite of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, and later on he became the prime minister of the Sikh kingdom of Lahore for a very brief time, that is from September 17th, 1843 to December 21st, 1844. After that, he was murdered. The name Hira Mandi, along with the Shahi Mahalla, was established when Hira Singh set up a grain market called Hira Singh di Mandi in this vicinity. After the grain market was established, this area became an economic center for the traders who were coming from the subcontinent generally, and from Punjab particularly, and those the wives who were already established there. So this became a plus point, because the traders coming from all over, they would spend a lot of their wealth on these women. If you talk about these the wives, they were extremely intelligent women, because they were living and surviving in a market which is a cutthroat market, and the kind of deprivation that they faced, that made them very street smart, and they were very active, and they were managing their own wealth and multiplying it through businesses, properties, and trades. But on the other hand, they used to do a lot of charity work, and we come across the mention of the mosques, madrasas, and sarais that were constructed by these women. A forgotten dimension of the history tells us that these women played a key role during the War of Independence of 1857, and they were working as informers, messengers, and even conspirators who were very much in touch with the freedom fighters. And because men could come and visit their havelis and kotas very openly, and there was no objection raised to them, so that is why their kotas or their houses, havelis, became a very safe space for these kind of these rebellions who were hiding from the British army, and these the wives protected them like anything. They were informers, and they were financiers also. They spent lots of their wealth for these freedom fighters, and their the quotas became a safe haven for them. And from the cities like Awadh, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Amritsar, Lahore, Kanpur, and many cities of Bengal. So the Tawaif Havelis or quotas, that was the place for the conspirators. The wife of Wajid Ali Shah, the last Nawab of Awadh, Hazrat Mahal, was also, some say that she was a courtesan, and there were rumors that she is very much worked with the freedom fighters, and they were in touch with her continuously. Another name we come across, Husseini, she was a courtesan, and she was in the lower hierarchy of the Tawaifs, but she had played a very important role during this freedom fight. And um, and there were thousands of other women who were very active in that war. And but this whole movement of the tawaifs and prostitutes and these dancing girls, of course it lashed back to them, because the British, when they won the war, they took extremely harsh revenge, and worst kind of punishments were given to these women. We are trying to get some information about it, but not much of a formal information is there. But we just have a glimpse in some books and in some archival documents, where we come to know that how active these women were. Now, coming back to the Heeramandi of Lahore, the Grand Havelis were given to the Kaspi women. Kaspi women were basically the prostitutes, and they were forced and meant to entertain the soldiers, the British soldiers, and the Indian soldiers who were working for the who were in the British Army, and they were residing in Lahore Fort, because Lahore Fort became the cantonment or the chowni for the British. This was the style of the European armies, because when they traveled, they had two things established whenever they would stay at some place. One was a bazaar, and the other one was a brothel house. These two were a must for them, and this tradition was coming since Roman Empire, because in ancient Rome, brothels, often called lupanas, were prevalent and frequently located near Roman army camps and city walls. I'm quoting it from an article, that's why I'm reading directly from that. These establishments, which offered sexual services, were a common feature of Roman society, with evidence found through literary sources, archaeological digs, and legionary lists. Roman legionaries got tokens for the brothel visits. This tradition was carried on by the British Army, and wherever they went, they had those brothels established for the sepoys or the soldiers who were working for them. So, after the East India Company and after the War of 1857, British Crown took over, but they brought with them the Victorian era morality project, which placed, premium women's chastity and domesticity, and rest of the women were all extremely rejected, and they were degraded like anything. uh, the public performers, courtesans, the dancers, the musicians, the singers, they were all equated with prostitutes, and their quotas were branded as brothels. So there was the line drawn between the brothels and these artist women who were exceptional singers and dancers, and they were a great patrons of fine arts as well. They were all labeled as the prostitutes. Unfortunately, a label that was given to them by the British, not by the previous governments, even the Muslim governments. That label continues till date, and the stigma associated to them, that was initiated by the British. Now, laws such as the Contagious Diseases Act of 1864, which was originally aimed to curb the spread of venereal diseases among the British troops, allowed the Crown to monitor control and stifle the earnings of courtesans by clubbing them with prostitutes and subjecting them to strict regulations. Now, this uh, a department of art and singing and music was taken over or supervised strictly by the British government, and they were all labeled as prostitutes, and any woman who would resist to get into the prostitution, and if she wanted to stay as a singer or dancer the way they used to be in the past, they were forced to get into the profession of prostitution. There was no other way for them to survive under the British crown, and they were very strict about it according to their Victorian morality or sensibility that was imposed upon a society that was extremely open and fluid. Now, if you, I had been able to study some of the archival documents, and that showed that the women were divided into categories, with the best ones were allocated to the Gora Sahab, which were, of course, the white British, and the rest of them were meant for the Desi soldiers, who were the natives or the local soldiers who are working for the British government. There are lists of women in the archives in which the British government had a budget allocated for the medical treatments so that no disease would spread because of these women. So the governments had allocated a particular budget that within and with they had the doctors, and a complete treatment was given to them, and they had their monthly checkups done by the British doctors, and that was a very much official activity which was mentioned in some files of Punjab archives. Later, these women played an extremely important role in the freedom movement of Pakistan and India as well. Not only personally but financially also, but unfortunately, their roles are completely forgotten, and we do not come across many references except for few which tell us what these women had been doing during the freedom movement of India and Pakistan. This is a very important subject. Now there are some talks about it, but previously there was no mention of what were they doing for this freedom movement, and they had lots of sacrifices, and above all the way they were treated and humiliated and looted and burned and killed, and what not happened to these women whenever they were caught in the conspiracies against the British government. So you can imagine what treatments must have been inflicted upon these women by the British government. In the pre British era, many would get married and have a respectable life, especially the women who were associated with the dancing and singing. And they were very favorite of the kings, and the prince and nawabs, and so on. But after the British arrival, they were stooped so low in the society that they were declared completely untouchables, and insult and hatred continues till date. Presently, these are the rejected and degraded women of the society. Even the doors of current Heeramandi are closed to them. So they have spread in all over the city without any hope for a better life or for a chance of rehabilitation. So these are the ladies who were being treated so badly and so harshly in all our history. This is the story of Heeramandi, and I'm talking to you on the facts and figures that were found in a very sketchy manner in different documents of history and in the archival documents.